Could have snapped both of my damn arms in this session. Oh man, I wanted to come in and do some overhead squats. That was the first thought. Ended up doing some overhead squats. I've not done overhead squats now for, 10 months. There was a period last year where I was playing around with some ollie lifting, and I want to emphasize playing around because the sport is quite difficult to learn initially. It takes a long time to practice these lifts, the mobility, the positioning, all of that stuff. So something like 10 months ago, I was learning how to, snatch. That's too heavy of a statement. I was playing around with like snatch balance and just overhead squats and just with an empty bar, really. I think I got up to a 40 kilo single overhead squat at one point. So today I thought, I'm sore, I can't be bothered squatting anything heavy, so let's try and work on this. As a variation to the squats, I've been thinking about overhead squats for some time now since the conjugate method thought started. I thought it would be a really good idea to supplement, with what I'm trying to do with the high bar squats and whatnot. This is like high bar squats on steroids. If you think about it, it's can't get any higher than this. So I started working with it. I ended up doing like 5 sets of 10 with the bar, and I started kind of stretching my adductors and whatnot, wider stance, all that stuff. And I ended up getting to 60 kilos overhead squat, which frankly I was quite surprised about, and I was quite happy. But then after standing up with the 60 kilos, I tried to lower the bar. I tried to lower the bar back onto my my back rack, right? And I completely misgrooved it. The bar, instead of going to my traps, slid off my top and basically started flying down my back. And my grip was still on the bar. Both hands were still on the bar. And I've never been in this position before. And so the bar kind of like bent my wrists and shoulders and everything else kind of backwards and dropped it behind me. Now, it probably doesn't look like anything on video, but to me, it scared the shit out of me. I looked back at my mate who was there lifting alongside me, and I just looked and I thought, shit, man. He was happy that I made the lift, but, I don't think he quite understood what I went through with the whole shoulder and wrist mobility in that moment. This is one of the reasons why, this is one of the things that scares me about Olympic weightlifting. It's highly technical and speed kills. How many times have I seen online where people like screwing up these lifts where they get off balance and the bar comes crashing down their neck, on their head, on their thighs, on whatever. The bar becomes a really difficult thing to control when the thing is accelerated. So anyway, that scared the living crap out of me. I went back and I did it again, although this time I didn't record this. I unracked it, push pressed it up in that snatch grip, lowered it back and slowly onto my back. I never knew that was quite possible for me to like lower it too far behind me and then the thing just comes crashing down. Anyway, scary, but I'm happy I made the 60 kilos. It was a very, very technical thing to do because of the mobility. I don't have the mobility to do that well. And frankly, now, I'm a complete rookie when it comes to overhead squats, obviously. But now that I think about people snatching 200 kilos, it is insane to me. I don't even know how that's even possible. That is such an impressive feat. It is so impressive. I was talking to my mate next to me, and I was like, he first said, the guys that do like 200 kilos, snatches and whatnot, that's probably more impressive than seeing I think he said like a 300 or 400 kilo deadlift or whatever. And I agree with him. I said, because we think it's sexy because it's a whole bunch of things rolled into one, right? So clearly there's strength, there's mobility, flexibility, there's technique, there's more than just strength. What we see with powerlifting, bodybuilding, it's more than just strength, right? Talking more about powerlifting. Olympic weightlifting, for me, we all can differ in this way, but for me, it's like an incredible athletic sport. You think about all those things that I just mentioned, it's a combination of all those things. Just being strong is not gonna make you the best. You need to be fast, you need to be powerful, you need to be mobile, You need to be good in overhead positions. You need to be good at pulling. It's just a lot of stuff is going on, which is really, really impressive to me. Now, here it is. I think this is it. The 60 kilos. I mean, what happens, man? Like, I'm gonna put a video as well where it goes slower. You guys can see. So that's all right. I'll go down. I think this is it. Yep. Stabilize it. Yep, I got it. Happy, wonderful. Stand up with it. Bang. Just slides down my back, man. I'm gonna put another clip of it so you guys can see what's going on. It scared the living hell out of me, man. Honestly, you know, part of me is thinking, why did you do that? But then again, like, it's a really awkward position for your hands to be out wide, so I probably couldn't control it nicely on the way down, but I could have controlled it better than that. Not just freaking free fall onto my back. Now, I've seen millions of videos where people do that all the time. They drop it on their traps. Clearly, it's a new skill to me. Clearly, I've not done it for 10 months. And why was I trying to do that? I don't know. Mistake by me and lucky escape. If you think about it, it could have ended up nastier, right? It could have, I don't know, put my shoulder out, put my elbow out, put my wrist out. God knows. Somehow, I don't know what happened, but my arms just took it nicely and I dropped it and it was fine. Anyway, after that, I went over to some overhead push presses. Did those, worked up to 100 kilos. I got to 110. I tried that for a single. I couldn't get that. And then I went down the weights. I went down to 80. Hit that for 3 sets of 5. And then I think it went down to 60. I did some strict presses behind the neck. Strict presses in front of the neck, if you want to call it. And that was it. So a whole lot of overhead work and a bit of a scare in between. But I don't know, man. I'm 34 years old. You know, I'm sure there's been guys that are older than me picking up Olympic weightlifting and whatnot. But this is one of those like hardcore, you know, negatives when I think about it. Is the chance of injury goes through the roof because there's acceleration. The bar coming crashing down on you, the fear of getting under the bar. Like, I'm not even snatching, man. Imagine if I like snatched this thing and the bar fell on top of me somehow, straight on my, like, you can get hurt, man. Whereas with powerlifting, I don't feel like you can get hurt in powerlifting. You know, sure, okay, whatever. You can't get hurt if you're overloaded, if something goes wrong, if something pops in your hamstring, but that can be said for any sport. But it's much more controlled. It's slow, it's controlled. There's no, you know, speed associated with it, and that kind of gives me this comfort level. With Olympic weightlifting, man, like, it's about acceleration. It's about acceleration down under the bar, catching it, and going from there. I don't know, man. Maybe I'm overthinking all of this, but this was kind of like one of those warning shots to scare me away from it. Although I did enjoy the overhead, you know, portion of it, and I think I would really enjoy snatching as well. Probably not snatching in this gym because, well, the platform's tiny and I don't know, man. Like, it just doesn't seem like the best idea to do, especially with people like, you know, liking the banging around and whatever, all that. But I think doing overhead squats has a lot to offer. Number one, there is no room for error. There is no room for not being vertical. You know, I squatted 60 kilos. And to be honest with you, it wasn't the mobility that was scaring me from going further. It was just like I could not keep my arms extended. That's how it felt. Like the weight felt so heavy in my hands. You know, the squatting portion felt okay, but having my hands that wide out, you know, I'm like constantly trying to contract the triceps. I'm thinking about some of the things that I've heard in the past about internally rotating the shoulders. Frankly, the weight's so heavy that I couldn't even focus on that. But I've heard about people saying, you know, shoulder internal rotation is what's going to protect you from snapping your shoulders. I know there's two camps in this, external and internal rotation, what people recommend, different types to different countries, different schools and whatnot. But 60 feels so heavy. Obviously, it's the first time around. But I can't imagine somebody holding 200 in that position. It's unreal to me. It's one of those things, it's kind of like, you know, when you watch Formula One, right? You know, there's moments where you see people do things and you're like, I cannot imagine doing that. You know, 200 kilo snatch, holding it overhead is like so impossible. It's kind of like when you're watching F1. These guys are taking some of these corners at 300. And you're like, if something goes wrong, everyone's dead, right? That's what it feels like to me. And the speed, like I was watching that documentary, what's it called? Drive to Survive or something like that. We watched all of them. I think it was earlier this year. And just the onboard camera, seeing how fast they're flying, it literally scares me watching it from my couch. That's kind of what I feel now. Now that I'm kind of tested a few times overhead squatting, you have the feeling of what it might feel like to have 200 kilos in that position. It's just insanity. Unbelievable respect to the people that do this stuff. You know, I think from my point of view, it is by far the most respect, you know, sport that I can think of when it comes to barbells, strength sports. Like it, you know, strongman is probably a close second because of what they do with those atlas stones and how they don't snap their spines. I'm not sure. But Olympic weightlifting is because of all these things associated with it. It's not just strength, man. It's so many things combined together to make this sport. And I think it's the best barbell sport. Appreciate you guys, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.